All right, everybody. Tuesday, February 4th. It is around 4:30. We were just chatting about it. We are sitting down with the president of the Fools Department. For those of you that know about the Fools Department, Coach Matt Moore. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I am excellent. I know you've been busy and just getting in the swing of things here. So I'll pass it off to Pat for an introduction.
Coach Matt Moore, one of the new hires at Virginia Tech. Coach Moore is going to be coaching the offensive line, or Billy Ray Fools, an old acronym that is destined to be brought back. But Coach Moore is from Canton, Georgia, a Valdosta State alum, has had stints at Troy, Texas Tech, Middle Tennessee State, Louisiana Tech, Troy again, and then most recently at West Virginia University. We'll say that a little lightly, not too loud here. But we're happy that he's in Blacksburg. Coach Moore was on the Broyles Award nominee from 2023, given to the best assistant in college football. A lot of greats coming out of West Virginia over the past few years. Wyatt Milam, Zach Frazier, and Colton McKivitz, to name a few All-Americans. And we're really excited to have Coach Moore on the podcast, get to know him a little bit. So happy to have you, Coach. Billy Ray, we got a hokey haiku. Do you want to kick it off?
Yes. So Pete McGee, pave an open path, win the middle, win the day, block them to beat them. We do some hokey haikus here at the beginning of every podcast.
Okay, I got you.
So, Coach, first and foremost, why Virginia Tech? Obviously, tremendous success at West Virginia. Want to hear a little bit about kind of how you ended up here and what compelled you to join us here in Blacksburg.
Well, Coach Prine and I talked a couple of years ago, about making this a possibility. And I had a group of guys with me. I had Wyatt, I had Zach, and I had Doug Nestor, and I had some dudes that I had recruited really hard to get there and really felt like I needed to see it through with those guys. You know what I mean? The head coach and I had been longtime friends. I worked with him for a long time. And I just knew, if I left at that point, that the O-line was going to fall apart. You know how it is nowadays with the portal and all that. And I wanted to see those guys through. So I stayed there 2 more years, and then those guys all got graduated, and I had the opportunity to come to Blacksburg and just, came here in 23? Came here at 23 is the first time I'd ever been here for a game, and it was, the atmosphere was unbelievable. Just the entrance, the Enter Sandman, all that. It was really great. It's really just overall college football, one of the greatest entrances, if not the best, and just really enjoyed that. And I just really like the staff here, with Coach Pride. He does a really nice job, and just excited to be here, man. I think it's a place with great tradition. It's very blue collar. It's hardworking. It's all those things that I believe in. And I'm just excited to come in here with this group. I got a group of young guys, brought a couple guys with me, and just excited about getting this thing going,
So, Coach, we talked a little bit about your background, and I love asking coaches this that have been well-traveled. Coaches are kind of, in some ways, the sum of all of their parts, and I want to just know, who are some of the most influential coaches of your time? I know you coached at Noonan for some time. You were with Mike Leach at Texas Tech. So tell me a little bit about some of the coaches that kind of really had a profound impact on you over your career.
So I played college ball at a Division II school down in South Georgia called Valdosta State. And Hal Mumme was the head coach. Mike Leach was my offensive coordinator, and a guy named Guy Morris was the O-line coach. And Guy had played in the NFL for several years. He kind of in between jobs and got stuck at this little D2 school down there. And it's probably the best thing that ever happened to me. He was the best coach I'd ever been around. And obviously playing for him, playing for Leach, playing for Hal Mumme, really got indoctrinated into the air raid. We're throwing the ball, and that's what I did for a long time. I was a high school coach at Hoover High School with Rush Probst, who's a iconic high school coach, won a ton of games, and really learned a lot there as a young coach. And then as I moved through, I was with Tony Franklin on the college level, and Tony Franklin has done a phenomenal job, just learning a lot from him. And then was able to go work with Mike Leach again. When I was with Leach, I was with Lincoln Riley, he and I, Dana Holgerson, spent a lot of time with those guys just talking offensive philosophy and how we do things. And then had a chance to go work for Skip Holtz at Louisiana Tech. and learned a lot. I was assistant head coach there, learned a lot from Skip, just, how to run a program, how to run a team, just motivational stuff. He does a phenomenal job. I mean, he's still winning in the USFL, just doing a great job there. And then had the opportunity to go back to Troy. And this time it was with Neil Brown, and just learned a ton from Neil. He's a young coach at the time, but just organization and how to do things, and really pushed my limits from a coaching standpoint, and really learned how to run the ball. And then has, going from a air raid background where it's your 90% throw to 2 years ago, leading the nation in rushing. It's a full circle for me, and it's really been a learning experience. And that's the thing as a coach, is you can't ever think that you're, where you need to be. There's always something more to be learned, stolen, borrowed, whatever it is. As a coach, that's what you're trying to do, is continually stay on that edge and develop your players, talking to NFL guys, talking to other college coaches, high school coaches. You just get great ideas from everybody. You can't ever sit back and think that you know it all, because that's when it's going to sneak up on you. So I learned from a lot of these guys just to continue learning, continue trying to, trying to hone your craft and get better, and never think that you know it all. Learn from the other guys around you.
So, Coach, not to throw another acronym at you, but another one we use here is OKG, and that's an our kind of guy. So I want to talk a little bit about your recruiting vision for Virginia Tech. And one of the biggest new challenges is just with offensive line, chemistry is as important as it is at any other position. And I'm curious what your approach is to leveraging the transfer portal versus growing through high school. What is your vision on that been? Because at offensive line, you can plug and play, but I feel like it's got to be some sort of balance. So curious how you look at that.
So I lean toward the high school guys and develop relationships. And in my experience, I've had guys that were good enough, that were well sought after to go double their money at other places, but because they felt like that they had a good relationship with me, a good relationship with my assistant coaches, and they were being developed to the fullest in the strength department, nutrition, O-line. And if you can line all those things up for a guy, and you can get him to see the long game, not just the short game, then I've had really good experience with those guys, getting them in as high school players, developing relationships, making sure they're continuing to get developed themselves, and you can keep those guys, where they are, because they don't always, everybody looks at this now. Oh, these kids just want money. Well, I mean, don't we all? I mean, everybody is, that does matter, but you want to get it to the point to where it's not number one. You know what I mean? And you want to make sure that you're close enough financially where, they're not just going to up and leave you for a certain percentage, right? So I believe in developing. I do hit the portal. I brought some guys here with me that I recruited out of high school that have been portal, but like my 6 years at West Virginia, I had, I think, 2 portal guys. I believe the whole time I was there. So I don't like to run out and just grab guys, but then again, you run across it. What it gets into now is like, you run into a guy that maybe is a Virginia kid that we recruited really hard, but maybe he went to another school, a blue blood school, a bigger school, or whatever, what have you, a school that's winning more now. And then and then maybe things aren't going the way they want them. And then you come back, and those are the guys you pull out of the portal. Well, they're portal guys, but you did recruit them for a year and a half. You know them. And, it's not as a blind, just sometimes the portal stuff's kind of a blind guess. You're trying to just grab guys that other people want,
Talk to me a little bit about key traits that you look for. So whether that is physical traits, whether that is mentality traits, what does a Coach Matt Moore offensive lineman look like to you?
Well, there's always got to be a certain amount of physical trait. There's got to be either a guy that's a certain size, or he's got a growth pattern to be a certain size. Arm length is really, really important, not so much height. I'm more concerned with the length of the arms, the way the game's played. And can this guy reach the size that he needs to be to play? Other than that, I'm looking for athletic ability. Do they stay on their feet on film? Do they strain to finish blocks? Are they at second level? Can they stay on their feet? Can they make blocks on the second level? So it's just athletic ability, balance, arm length, and then having that size that you've got to have on this level to be able to the people that you're going to play. And you may have a kid that's a great kid that works his butt off, but he's only 5'11", 220 pounds. It doesn't matter. So you got to go out and recruit size, but at the same time you're looking for, and mentality wise, I'm looking for that grit guy, the guy that's going to want to work, that wants to be developed, that wants to do extra, that loves football, that loves to study football, that loves, wants to go to the NFL. That's the kind of guys you're looking for.
With all that in mind, looking ahead to 2025 and this season, coming into Tech, what is your initial impression on our returning offensive linemen, and also room for improvement among the current group of guys?
So I feel like I met with all my guys in the past 2 days. I've had individual meetings with all of them. They're very hungry. They want to be coached. They want to learn. They want to do extra. They want they want to do all that. So that fires me up knowing these guys, they want to get there. Now, I don't think we don't have any guys that are really finished products yet. You know what I mean? They're going to be fairly long. They're going to be fairly young, inexperienced, but that's where I got to do a good job of keeping things simple, teaching them fundamentals. But I feel good about where they are mentality as far as how they want to work. Now, I have not seen enough out of them physically because not many of them have a lot of film.
Mm-hmm.
So I hadn't seen as much out of them. There's just a couple guys that played, a lot of snaps. So there's a lot of the young guys that hadn't played a lot. So I'm really going to reserve comment on that when I see them move around, see them in the spring, see what they do that. But I really like the attitude. I like where they are. They're excited. They're excited about the new strength coach. They're excited about, a change in the O-line room. So I think that that's always a good sign when you got guys that are hungry to work.
Coach, quick one off the side here. What have your conversations with Coach Bowen been? I mean, we have had some tremendous individual game performances outside of the offensive line with some amazing running back play over the last couple of years. Bashal Tootin is a special player. So schematically, what do you think? What do you really like that you've seen from Coach Bowen, and what do you think that you can add supplemental from a scheme perspective of what we're looking to do on the ground?
Well, I think he's got some really good scheme runs that he does where he changes one or two things up to your fundamental stuff, and he gets some explosive runs. Their explosive runs have been really good. I think what I'll bring is more of a fundamental side of it, of where you're not as much what we call havoc plays, which means it's a zero or lost yardage play. That's where your fundamentals break down. Your communication's not as good as it needs to be. You're not on the right people, and you get a TFL. And that's where I'm trying to come in and go, okay, I want to be less of those. He can continue his scheming and getting the explosive plays, but I want to get where a bad play is 3 yards, 4 yards, not -6. You know what I mean? That's where I'm trying to come in to just create that fundamental baseline of we know we can be on the right people. We're going to communicate well. We're going to have good fundamentals, good footwork, stay square, fit up on the right hats. And if you can get that with the talent at quarterback that we have and the talent at running back that we're going to have, I think we're going to get what we want to get. And he's just got to continue to scheme up the explosive plays, because the explosive plays will get you where you want to be as long as you don't have a ton of havoc plays.
I know it's a little early to say this without spring ball, but what is a goal for your unit this coming season?
To play hard, to strain, to play hard, to a team. When you turn the TV on and you watch, you go, man, those guys know what they're doing. They're fit up on people. They're communicating. They're playing hard. They're scrambling. They're straining. That's my goal, is to have that. If I can create that where they're playing hard for each other and they're communicating with each other, and we're not allowing run-throughs, we're not allowing tackles for loss, we're not allowing sacks. If I can do those things, I think that's where I want to help the team. If I can create that, I think that we're going to be good enough on defense, and we're special at quarterback. And if you can be good on defense, special teams, and be special at quarterback, and have an O-line that you don't lose because of them. You don't necessarily. We may not be in the point where we're winning because the O-line's dominating. That's kind of where I've been the past couple of years, is we've won because. But early on, it was more like, hey, we got to get hats on hat. We got to get people fit up. We got to make sure that we're not allowing run throughs. We're not getting up big hits, because tackles for loss. That's where a lot of fumbles come from. When you let that D lineman make that tackle in the backfield, that's where those come from. So that's what I'm shooting for, is to have a group of kids that are well disciplined. They're going to play hard. They're going to study the game. They're going to be good. They're going to be sound fundamentally. That's what I'm hunting.
Schedule came out early last week. What excites you about this 2025 Virginia Tech football schedule?
I have no idea. I'm just worried about what's going on tomorrow. I'm worried about what's going on tomorrow, man. That stuff will come on my mind. I'm not worried about it.
So, Coach,
I'm not. That's just not coach speak. I promise you. I don't look at that. I don't pay attention to it. I'm one of those guys that never looks at the comments on Twitter either. My wife's like, "Did you read where this?" I'm like, "No, I didn't see that on there." She goes, "You got to click over here and read the." I'm like, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm a troller, man. I'm worried about what's going on. As soon as I get off this, I'm worried about what I'm going to watch next or what I'm going to work on next."
Here we go.
So, Coach, a little bit of rapid fire here before we have one fan submitted question. They always end up not being rapid, but that's what we call it. What is the most important lift for you? I know Coach Ferg is getting into the weight room and taking over things there. Super excited about that. He was there during my time. But if you're getting to pop in and watch a potential recruit lift weights, or you're speaking to a recruit and saying, "Hey, here's something I want you to focus on," like, what is the most important lift for you?
I would say power clean, just because it's explosiveness, it's strength, it's coordination, it's bend. You got to drop under it, catch it. I'll tell you, that one lift can show you a lot on the kid.
All-American meal. We don't want our offensive linemen eating salads unless they're overweight. We don't want them eating anything like that. What is the all-American meal?
The all-American steak and potatoes.
Steak and potatoes.
Baked potato, steak, salad beforehand, just in case you want to feel a little better about yourself.
You a medium rare guy?
I'm a Pittsburgh medium rare guy.
Like an adult. Pittsburgh. I haven't heard that. Pittsburgh or Kansas City. Okay, I like that.
Have you ever tried one Pittsburgh?
Yes, absolutely. We're Northeast guys. We're both from Jersey, so
I got you. Right. Yep. So I'm from Georgia, so I had no idea what that meant until I moved to Morgantown. They're like, "You like your steak in Pittsburgh?" I'm like, "No, I'd like to have it here in Morgan." They're like, "No, that's the way you cook it." I said, "Okay, I'm sold on it. I'm sold on it now."
I'm surprised they didn't come up with another name for it. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, you're right. They probably would have called it something else.
Aside from Lane Stadium, what's the loudest stadium you've ever coached in?
Let's see. I would say probably Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma. They get after it there. We went there when I was at Texas Tech, and we were like number 2, and they were number 3 or 1, and it was they beat us bad, and it was loud. The worse they beat us, the louder it got.
Who's your favorite NFLer to put on film? I remember back in my day, we watched a lot of Sheriff from Iowa or Iowa State. He's from one of those corn-fed schools. But who is an NFLer that you love to put on film and watch?
God, I like Lane Johnson. I think he does a phenomenal job. It's more with us. It's more teams than it is individual person. You know what I mean? It's some teams run inside zone really well. Some teams run outside zone really well. Some teams are really good gap teams. So I watch a lot of the Bills. They do a really good job in their run game. The Titans do a really good job in their outside zone. The 49ers do a great job in outside zone. The Eagles, obviously, they run like a mid-zone, inside zone-ish type, and they do a great job. Just technique, fundamentals, watching those guys, man, they're really fun to watch. And that's how I teach a lot of my stuff, is we use that's the great thing now with this, with the new PFF stuff. You can pull off every inside zone to the left versus a 4 down front with a tight 5 technique, and it'll pull 20 clips, and you can talk through it. And it's just so it's so nice to be able to pull that stuff up, and it saves you hours of cutting film.
Coach, quick. I know you're new to the job, just getting here. You got a million things going on, but how important is it for you to connect and get guys like Wyatt Teller and some of the other awesome NFL players back in the room talking to these guys? And at Virginia Tech, I know kind of underrated the amount of successful NFLers are in the league right now at the offensive line position, but curious if you've had any conversations or if that's something that's on the docket for you.
I have not had any conversations. I'd love for any of those guys to come back anytime they want. I'm always open to let those guys talk in the room and just really like what it means to them, you know, now that they're out of it, looking back. And I think it's always good for college kids to hear, like, you know, everybody wants to go to the NFL when they're in college, but they need to understand, like, that's a job. Like that's, you know, this is still fun. I mean, it is fun, but like it is a job. There's a lot of pressure. And these college kids don't understand how much pressure are on those dudes, even the great ones. They're feeling pressure every day. They're trying to replace you every day. So I like for them to come in and talk to them about that, to kind of get them to just sit back and enjoy where they are.
Yep.
Not push so much forward to like, oh, I need to get drafted. I need to go to the NFL. Like, hey, enjoy where you are. Make the most of where you are. Work the best, and it's all going to come. But yeah, any of those guys that want to come back, I'm super excited about having any of those guys back.
Favorite football movie of all time?
Remember the Titans.
It's a great one.
Good one.
If you weren't coaching football, what would Matt Moore be doing?
Power cleans.
Man. I really couldn't even imagine myself doing anything else. I don't know. It's just all I've ever done. You know what I mean? Now, I'd like to be like maybe a captain of a fishing, you know.
Oh, yeah.
One of those deep sea fishing. I just get out there and do that every day. I could probably handle that. And play golf a couple times a week.
Last couple for you, Coach. Who is the meanest SOB that you've ever coached?
The meanest, I'd say the one that plays the hardest is Zach Frazier. Kid named Louis Vasquez that played for me at Texas Tech, played in the NFL for about 8 years. He was pretty nasty. I'd say those two are the top two.
So last one we have here for you. This one's from Caleb Fields. I love this question. What are your thoughts on position versatility? So back when I was here with Coach Vice, he always viewed it as musical chairs. You don't play center. You play center right now, but you need to know how to play tackle. You need to know how to play guard. Hell, you might even need to know how to play Y or tight end. Do you like to keep guys specific to a spot or two spots, or do you have more of a musical chairs mentality? Kind of how do you view that?
So I view it as this: when they're young, I'm more trying to keep them in the same spot all the time. You know, all the way through your first year, and then maybe spring of your redshirt year. If you played it enough, I can move you around a little bit, but I'm not going to go right to left if I can help it. I can go guard tackle or guard center. And then as you move through your career, I'm going to start moving you around and making sure you can play. If you're an inside guy, you need to be able to snap and play both guards. If you're a tackle, you need to be able to play both tackles and play some guard. Like so Wyatt Milam, who played for me at West Virginia, when he went to the Senior Bowl and they knew what he could do at tackle. So they put him at guard the whole time. Well, luckily I had made him play guard and center a lot. And so he did a really good job. But I fully believe that you got to be able to try to teach them as much as they can handle, play several different spots.
Coach, this has been awesome. Appreciate the insight. Welcome to Blacksburg. Get yourself a steak. I know you got a lot of stuff going on, but appreciate the time and looking forward to the unit this year.
What's the best steak in town?
Oh man, I mean,
best steak in town.
I would hit Bull and Bones. Go get yourself a Sons of Saturday shandy. It is on tap. You can go ahead and grab yourself one of those. But I would check out Bull and Bones. Bull and Bones is pretty good. Pat, do you have any other? Does 622 North do steak?
I would say that's the go-to. Bull and Bones, and then like 622. I don't know if like Farmhouse in Christiansburg might have a steak for you. I don't know if they got the Pittsburgh style though. But
now, can I tell them y'all sent me? I mean, is that going to help me at all?
You can certainly tell them. I don't know if it'll help you. It won't hurt
you. Guys, I appreciate y'all having me on.
Yes, Coach. Thank you so much. Looking forward to it. Take care.
Best of luck, Coach.